fuel window, 65 to 70 laps for these cars. So if we continue to see green flag racing, we'll have to see green flag stops in the first stage. None of these stages today will be able to run on one tank of gas. So a lot of pit stops and perhaps see some green flag action.
And behind Daniel Suarez, we see Kyle Larson.
So the clock resets whenever a lightning strike happens within an 8-mile radius. There it was. That was the one. And that happened at 4:52 local. So 5:22 is the earliest that the cars could be back out on track and racing. While we have a few more moments, I want to take a look at the playoff standings coming into Nashville. And you look at the playoff points, that list that's just past the wins list. And the playoff points, very important, because when playoff time happens, all of the people that are in the playoffs, those numbers all reset except the playoff points. That's the advantage that each driver has.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the vice is cranking right here. I mean, these guys are not going to have an enjoyable summer. You mentioned the playoff points, the names in yellow. That's all great, but first you got to get in the playoffs. Blaney, Truex, Bell, Almirola, Harvick, Reddick, Dillon. You can't feel good about this summer. Road courses, a speedway at Atlanta, a speedway at Daytona. I'm not going to say there's 17 winners, but it's possible. If you're not in Yellowdale, I think you have to be thinking must win, right? Like, you don't want to have to point your way in.
Let's talk about the points, the playoff points compared to the years past. When you look at that list, you don't see a lot of points, but in the years past, there were guys that had a lot of points that would help them. If they had a bad first round, just kind of skip through. It was almost a free pass. We don't have that this year. Nobody's really stood out and got that 25, 30, 35 points that's going to actually help them in that first round. We could see some big names have a mistake, stub a toe, and drop out in that first round.
Well, look at the difference. Martin Truex Jr., 21 points. Harvick, 26. Busch, 25. Chastain and Williams both have 13. I mean, that is a major difference. On top of that, you know, these guys continue to dominate and going into the playoffs, and they just added to that point total. Who's dominating this year? Where's that going to come from? Why is all of a sudden somebody going to start dominating? So that battle that Steve talked about of just making the points, that is going to really be a tight battle. But then once you make the playoffs, you're not going to be afforded any mistakes. You better have really solid rounds or you're going to get knocked out early.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty difficult. I mean, you know, when you compare like Kyle Larson's first 14 races, the champion from last year, his season from last year, almost exactly the same. But I'm with you. I think that was a different race car. I don't think anyone's going to catch fire and just take off and dominate the rest of the year. I think we're going to maintain this kind of unpredictability, this parity outside of Trackhouse, obviously. I think we're still going to have that hot and cold all the way through. And the real potential for a huge name or two to drop out in that first round is there.